3 weeks ago, a phone call changed everything on the planet and in international relations. And the same man who challenged the West to protect Iran's nuclear program was now whispering behind diplomatic scenes that Iran should accept zero enrichment. Not reduce, not limit, stop completely. But this wasn't a one-off call. Sources confirm Putin made similar calls to Washington, Paris, and Tel Aviv, all with the same unbelievable message. What happened to make the grandmaster of geopolitical chess sacrifice his most valuable piece in the Middle East? And why could this silent move be rewriting the rules of global power while you watch this video? Can we say Putin betrayed Iran? The story begins 3 weeks ago when Donald Trump ordered what might have been the most devastating strike against nuclear facilities since the end of World War II. On June 21, 2025, American B-2 Spirit stealth bombers carrying 30,000-pound bunker-buster bombs hit 3 of Iran's main nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Trump declared Iran's enrichment capabilities were completely and totally obliterated, but later intelligence assessments suggest the damage, while significant, may have only delayed the program by a few months. To grasp the stakes, we need to look at the numbers. According to an IAEA report from May 31, 2025, Iran had drastically increased its stockpile of uranium enriched to 60% purity, reaching over 408 kilograms, nearly a 50% jump since February. To put that in perspective, uranium enriched to 60% is dangerously close to weapons grade, which is 90%. Satellite images show trucks at the sites the day before the strikes, suggesting nuclear material might have been moved ahead of the bombings. It was right after these strikes that Putin made his most surprising move. According to Axios sources confirmed by multiple European intelligence agencies, the Russian leader told both Trump and the Iranians that the best solution would be a zero-enrichment deal. To understand this turnaround, we have to go behind the scenes of the Russia-Iran relationship. During the American strikes, Russian technicians were present at the targeted facilities. Some unconfirmed reports suggest Russian citizens may have been injured during the bombings. This hit a very sensitive nerve for the Kremlin. Putin doesn't want his own scientists and engineers to become targets in a rivalry spinning out of control. But there's more to this story. Russia invested billions into Iran's energy sector, including the Bushehr nuclear plant and plans for Bushehr 2, which was only 17% complete by early 2025. Western sanctions against both Russia and Iran severely complicated these projects. Putin realized that without sanction relief, which would only come with a new nuclear deal, his investments in Iran could simply go up in smoke. Putin's proposal is elegant in its simplicity, but revolutionary in its implications. According to sources, the Russian leader offered a deal where Russia would take back all enriched uranium from Iran and, in exchange, supply processed nuclear fuel suitable for civilian use. All of this would happen under strict supervision from the International Atomic Energy Agency. What makes this proposal even more interesting is that it would effectively turn Iran into a kind of consumer of nuclear energy rather than a producer of the technology. The country could keep its nuclear plants running, but would be completely dependent on outside suppliers for fuel. It's a solution that meets the security concerns of the US and Israel while letting Iran maintain its energy infrastructure. Tehran's reaction was swift and categorical. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said accepting zero enrichment would be like giving up national sovereignty. In his words, Iran cannot and will not waive its rights under the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which guarantees peaceful access to nuclear technology. But Iran's resistance goes beyond official rhetoric. The country has spent decades developing this tech capacity, and giving it up now would mean losing a critical strategic advantage. Iranian leaders also argue they have a fatwa, a religious decree, issued by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, specifically forbidding nuclear weapons development. Putin isn't just playing with Iran, he's playing with all the major players at once. With the Americans, he shows willingness to cooperate to prevent regional nuclear escalation. With the Israelis, he offers guarantees that Russian scientists won't be put at risk by preemptive strikes anymore. And with the French, through Emmanuel Macron, he shows Russia can be a reliable partner in mediating international crises. This is classic Putin, keeping strategic flexibility while getting benefits from all sides. He doesn't overcommit to any one ally, but manages to position Russia as an indispensable mediator in the Iranian nuclear question. To fully understand how serious this is, we need to dive into Iran's specific nuclear capabilities before the strikes. Iran was running a sophisticated centrifuge complex at its sites. According to IAEA data from May 2025, the country operated 36 cascades of older IR, 1 centrifuges, plus 46 cascades of advanced centrifuges, including 31 IR, 2 M cascades, 12 IR, 4 cascades, and 3 IR, 6 cascades. The Fordow facility was especially worrying to international experts. There, Iran was producing about 4.7 kilograms of uranium, enriched to 60% monthly, but plans were in place to boost that to 37 kilograms monthly using 2 cascades of IR, 6 centrifuges fed with uranium, enriched to 20%. To put that in context, experts estimate only 15 to 20 kilograms of highly enriched uranium are needed to build a simple nuclear device. What makes these numbers even scarier is that Iran has no civilian justification for producing uranium enriched to 60%. Civil nuclear plants run on uranium enriched between 3% and 5%, while research reactors might use fuel enriched up to 20%. June's attacks showed both the strength and limits of U.S. military power. On one hand, they demonstrated impressive technical ability, 30,000-pound bunker busters carried by stealth bombers hitting deeply buried facilities. On the other hand, later intelligence suggests the core of Iran's program stayed intact. The Fordow site, built inside a mountain, proved especially tough. Even with specialized weapons, significant infrastructure survived. That means while Iran's program suffered a serious setback, it wasn't wiped out. Putin recently said, "These underground factories exist, nothing happened to them." Experts estimate Iran can restore about 70% of its previous capacity in 18 to 24 months, assuming no further interference. What's more worrying is that Iran learned from past experiences. Satellite images show heavy activity at the sites 24 hours before the strikes, with trucks being loaded and moved to unknown locations. Putin's proposal exposes the complexities of the Russia-Iran partnership. Although the two signed an expanded strategic agreement in January 2025, ratified in June, this deal doesn't obligate Russia to defend Iran militarily. This gives Putin considerable strategic flexibility. He can support Iran when it's convenient, but also suggests limits when things get too hot. Nuclear cooperation between the two dates back decades, with Russia supplying technology, fuel, and technical know-how. But this relationship has always had tensions. Moscow has often delayed deliveries or imposed technical restrictions when international pressure increased. The current proposal can be seen as an extension of that strategy, aiming to keep influence over Iran's program while reducing political risks. Trump's response to the Russian proposal has been cautiously positive. The American president, seeking to establish himself as an effective international negotiator, sees Putin's suggestion as a chance to achieve what predecessors couldn't, a lasting nuclear deal with Iran. But Trump also faces considerable domestic pressure, especially from allies like Israel, who prefer a tougher approach. The Trump administration is working on an incentive framework to make Russia's proposal more appealing to Iran. This includes gradual economic sanction relief, access to civilian technologies, and regional security guarantees. But any deal would have to overcome decades of mutual distrust. IAEA oversight is crucial for any future deal, but the agency faces big challenges. After the American strikes, Iran announced it would no longer accept inspections without prior notice or demands it calls abusive. This complicates any verification regime, even if a deal is reached. The IAEA has limited experience overseeing zero-enrichment agreements. Most countries with civil nuclear programs keep some domestic enrichment capacity. Creating an inspection protocol that ensures Iran isn't secretly developing alternatives would require huge resources and full cooperation from Tehran. If implemented, Russia's proposal could completely reshape the Middle East power balance. Israel, which views Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat, could significantly scale back its military posture in the region. Gulf countries, especially Saudi Arabia, might reconsider their own civil nuclear plans. But there are big risks too. If the deal fails, or if Iran is seen as being forced into it, it could spark a new wave of regional instability. Armed groups allied with Iran in Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen might ramp up activity to compensate for Tehran's nuclear influence loss. But critics argue this approach is too restrictive and violates the fundamental right to peaceful nuclear energy use. They fear it could create a dangerous precedent where countries are forced to abandon legitimate technology under political pressure. Behind the geopolitical considerations, huge economic interests are at play. The global nuclear sector is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and control over fuel supply gives significant political influence. Russia-Iran nuclear cooperation is more extensive than many realize. In June 2025, Iran and Russia signed an agreement to build 8 new nuclear plants, at least 4 of which will be in Bushehr, home to Iran's only commercial nuclear plant. The Bushehr plant, which started operating in 2011, has a 1,000 megawatt capacity and was built with Russian VVR, 1000 technology. But the Booster 2 project, started in 2017, faces significant delays. By early 2025, only 17% was completed, mainly due to Western sanctions complicating the import of specialized equipment. Putin realized that without sanction relief, his billion-dollar investments in Iran could simply go up in smoke. What we're witnessing could be the start of a new era in nuclear international relations. An era where traditional alliances are questioned and strategic interests outweigh historic ideological commitments. Putin isn't just suggesting a nuclear deal, he's redefining the global geopolitical game. The Russian proposal reveals the complexities of a multipolar world where traditional powers like the US must negotiate with unexpected mediators. If Trump agrees to work with Putin on Iran, it could set a precedent for future US-Russia cooperation on other global issues. But many unknowns remain. Will Iran give in to international pressure? Will Israel accept a deal that leaves part of Iran's nuclear infrastructure intact? And how will other regional countries react to this new power dynamic? What we know is the coming weeks will be crucial. Talks between Washington, Moscow, and Tehran are happening on multiple channels, and every move could decide if we're heading toward a historic diplomatic solution or a new regional tension escalation. Putin's silent move might have forever changed how the world handles nuclear issues. And while diplomats work behind the scenes, the rest of us can only watch and hope wisdom wins over national pride. Because in the end, what's at stake here goes far beyond Iran's nuclear program. It's the future of global stability in an era of growing great power competition.